Do you see what I'm saying? The more I see the scriptures, the more I see how logical it all is. But I see that it is not logical to the carnal mind. It will confound the carnal mind. But once you begin seeing things through the mind of Christ, it all becomes very logical. And like Glenn says, it just makes so much more sense. Because God is love. He's a self-sacrificing love. That when people hate him and come to kill him, rather he laid down his life for them and let them nail him to a cross. That's the love of God. Jesus said, I came, Israel, I came to gather you to myself, but you would not. That's how God's going to feel when he comes to destroy sin and death. He's going to come to gather all people to himself. Some are going to find the Spirit of God dwelling in them because they believed on Jesus, and when God comes to gather them to himself, they're going to say, Abba! And they're going to run to Daddy. Some who have not believed on the Spirit of God for life, they're going to find something else in their heart when he comes to gather them to himself. They're going to find fear. And their hearts are going to condemn them in the presence of God. And just like the first Adam did, they're going to cower away from God unto the second death. They're going to condemn themselves to death. God doesn't condemn anyone to death. They condemn themselves to death. God has come and condemned sin and death to death. God judged against the serpent. John describes the judgment of God. He says, God judges no man. And he says, and he's given all judgment to the Son. And then it says the Son judges no man. And then when you get to John, I think chapter 16, it says, when the Spirit of truth will come, he will reconvince you of righteousness, of is it sin, and judgment. He will convince you of judgment. He will bring to your mind the judgment of God. And then you know what he says? And God judged the sinners. No. He judged the prince of this world. Meaning, listen guys, that guy's kingdom is gonna die. I don't want you to try to find your refuge in his kingdom, because that kingdom is gonna perish for all eternity.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to find yourself in that kingdom. So he comes to declare his judgment against that kingdom and against that wisdom as the way into life. Not because he's angry with sinners, because he's the friend of sinners, and he doesn't want sinners to any longer not be a partaker of his life.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And see, when you describe God like this, people start finding something happening in their hearts. Their hearts trust God without them having to be told they're supposed to trust God.
Right.
You see? The prick happens. They heard the righteousness of God is that he punishes people when he finds them in sin. Now they start hearing the righteousness of God is that when he finds someone in sin, he picks them up and he nurtures them back to life. He comforts them. He gives them oil and wine. He takes them into his house and he makes a place for them to dwell with him for all eternity. Now their heart will start being pricked. Now they sit with a contradiction. And then that's where Jesus could come to them and say, how long will you kick against the prick?
Amen. This